Chien-Pao was banned in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet OU. This is the second Ruin Pokemon to be banned behind Chi-Yu. With Terra Dark and its ability Sword of Ruin lowering your opponent's defense stat, Choice Band crunches were incredibly hard to switch into. Its base 135 speed stat made it hard to revenge kill without priority or a Choice Scarf. And Swords Dance sets avoided Stealth Rock damage due to heavy duty boots, making it really good at cleaning up teams. Espathra is the next ban. With Speed Boost and Calm Mind, it was able to easily overwhelm its opponents with a stored power that got stronger and stronger. Terastallization let it beat Pokemon that should have been counters like King Gambit and Golden Go. This, in combination with Shed Tail from Earthworm, pushed it over the edge. What do you think about the Chien-Pao and Espathra bans in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet OU? Let me know down below. And let's dive a little bit deeper into why these Pokemon were banned and what the tier will look like now that they are gone. So as I said in the intro, Chien-Pao and Espathra are banned. We'll now be discussing them, of course. Let us know your thoughts down below. I have my buddy 3D with me. He can say hi to the people.
Yo, what's going on?
We're going to be discussing why Chien-Pao got banned, how we personally feel about it, and how the metagame is going to look. And then we'll be also jumping from there to Espathra, which was quick banned at the same time that we got the votes for Chien-Pao. So you can see right here, there were 177 eligible voters for the Chien-Pao suspect test. I also got Rex. I voted do not ban, and you guys will hear why. But it then ended up being 107 bans and 48 do not bans. And because 60% is the pro majority needed for a ban, and it was at 69%, Chien-Pao was banned from OU. Now, 3D, what do you think?
Yo, so I made a couple posts about it, and I really don't think that it should have got banned. Like, a lot of the problems that people like have with it are really like over exaggerated, especially in the thread. Because like the main thing that I've been seeing was a lot of these super scary Terra Dark Calyx.
Yeah.
It's like oh, you can't switch anything into Chien-Pao. Dondozo's 2 KO'd, Corviknight's 2 KO'd, everything's 2 KO'd. So like if someone's just unbiased and they're seeing all this, you're gonna be like, yo, why is this even in the tier? It just 2 KOs everything.
Yeah, I think that's like a really bad way to look at a Pokemon, just looking at damage calcs, because theory versus, and it's not theory, but it is, there are actual numbers, right? But that versus practice, like how it actually ends up happening, ends up being completely different. And you did make a great post right here that went through the SPL, Smoke on Premier League, guys. That's the tournament that I've been covering every single week, if you guys have been watching that, the OU games. And he went through every single week the the Chien-Paos that have been the Chien-Paos that have been used and how it's really been using. And I thought it was really interesting that week 1 specifically, it was what, a 70% win rate, and then week 2 was 60, and then week 3 it was 50, right? Like it was something. It just kept going down and down, right?
Yeah, it was a 70% in week 1, and then in week 2 it was 66, and then in week 3 it was 55.
Yeah,
so
like,
that was the main reason.
Yeah,
that was the main reason we even went over like all the weeks in general, because we're like, okay, the win percentage is going down, and we don't want to just say that, because obviously it could be a lot of different things. So we just went through all the games, and we want to really see like what it was doing and like how people are really like adapting to it from week 1. Because it's like you see something with 70% win percentage, and it's obviously going to be a big threat.
Yeah.
And then we want to see how people are adapting to it, and if that adaptation is like, if it's unhealthy, like with Dracovish, the adaptation was using Seismitoad on every team. That's obviously unhealthy. We really want to see if with Chien-Pao, are we forcing a Tauros on every team, or are we building our teams just like in a better way with things that we would use normally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. I think that it makes 100% sense that week 1 would have the highest win rate, because you guys got to remember, this is the first official big tournament for Scarlet and Violet. This is the first time people are using Chien-Pao on the big stage. Yeah, obviously 3D and I, we won the first actual tournament, you know. But
they saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. But this is the actual official one for like a, you know, official quote unquote for a trophy on the line, and obviously everybody wants to use what they think is good. So 70% makes a lot of sense, but 70% also makes a ton of sense because we saw a ton of Chien-Pao week 1 as well, right?
Yeah.
In general, we saw a ton of Chien-Pao, but by week 2, it severely lowers because people are starting to adapt. And we even see like 5 Chien-Pao cleaned up late games to speed and coverage, 4 Chien-Pao died doing nothing relevant, 2 Chien-Pao died in 1v1 chipping the other Pokemon, and 1 Chien-Pao killed the opposing Chien-Pao, but the game was unwinnable from this point due to Cinderace. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you can go into more depth about this a bit, but I really do like your post, and I feel like right here, my personal thing, like I said, guys, I voted no ban. And I was really against like what people were saying. Again, if you look at Chien-Pao based on damage calcs, yeah, it's busted. It is for sure busted. But it's like when it's boots, versus ban, right? There's a huge,
Yeah,
huge difference.
exactly.
I feel like ban is just, I mean, boots is just not strong enough. Boots is just not
Boots-
strong enough.
Me and Vertex were talking about this, and we were really just like, yo, Boots is just not hitting like hard immediately. Like, yeah, it can SD, but the things that people are scared of, it just coming in, Terra Darking and crunching. But it's not like Boots can't break past Dondozo, for example, that everyone's scared of, with Band being able to just 2 a KO.
Boots also suffers with Garg, just naturally.
Exactly.
Right? It suffers with Garg. It doesn't kill Corviknight at +2. So there's like a lot of situations where defensively, and it's not like, I think you gave the example of Tauros, which one of the counterpoints from the people that's saying it should be banned is that people are using a niche Pokemon that shouldn't be in OU. And I think that's a fair concept, though I do want to argue that both Water and Fire Tauros have niches in OU besides checking that. King Gambit,
Yeah, for sure.
obviously, Scizor, right, Roaring Moon, etc. They can check a plethora of Pokemon in this tier, and King Gambit being one of the big ones, right? Great Tusk as
Yeah.
well. So it's not like they're bad but I do agree that they majority lose because they checked Chien-Pao. We even used it in the first week of the tournament, and it checked the hell out of the team.
Yeah, exactly. And in one of the replays, I can't remember which one, in week 1 when a Tauros was used, it rendered the opposing Chien-Pao useless, but it wasn't just there to just wall the Chien-Pao. Yeah, it's the XRN
Yeah, right
replay.
here.
Yeah,
Power.
like it burned the Dragonite at the end of the game, which just let Chien-Pao just kill with the Ice Shard. Like,
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not-
it checks a plethora of Pokemon. Like, it's good in the
yeah,
it's,
exactly.
it's a decent amount of the tier. And guys, we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna talk about. I mean, we know why I was banned, right? Basically, took the entire tier, etc. People thought it was too much for the tier. I want to go over one point that I feel like is such a. I don't understand why this is a counter argument to why it should be banned, and that point was it forces defensive Terra and it forces Pokemon to Terra in a certain way, and that's not good, and that's not a good way of dealing with a Pokemon. And I would like to argue in a meta game with terrestrialization, that is a fantastic way of dealing with a Pokemon. And if you look at one specific Pokemon, probably one of the most annoying Pokemon besides Espathra that just got banned, and that's Garganacci, or Garganical, or Garganacle, whatever you want to say it. This mon specifically Terra's Water to beat the number 2 most used, well, to beat everything, but to beat the
Just
number,
everything,
yeah,
yeah.
to beat the number 2 most used mon, and that is Golden Go, right? And Terra Water is not, oh man, I have to last ditch ever Terra Water. No, this is set in stone when it comes to this Pokemon. Sure, you see Terra Fairy still occasionally too, but Terra Water means you already resist Shadow Ball because of your ability, and you resist Make It Rain. So, and while at the same time, Gar can also deal with Chien-Pao's in the same vein, right? Not like it's actually letting it deal with that. You have Great Tusk, which will sometimes Terra Fire, which will help it deal with Chien-Pao's Ice move, but at the same time, letting it set up on Skeleturge, letting it beat Rotom, who tries to Will-O-Wisp it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
defensive Terra is not only is counterplay, and it's been used and is definitely set in stone for other Pokemon, but it's not like Pokemon are specifically doing this Terra just for Chien-Pao. Every single Terra for Chien-Pao specifically has a good play, is just good versus everything else, right? Take King Gambit, becomes flying type, so Chien-Pao can't take it sword. Also does that so Great Tusk can't close combat, or Earthquake. So I feel like defensive Terra, especially in a Terra metagame, which is exactly what we're in, right? Terra is basically, it's Z move, it's Mega Evolution, it's here. And we don't know if it's here to stay because Pokemon Home will be coming out. But I think it's good counterplay. It is good counterplay, and it's something that you can't just write off as, oh, that's unhealthy. Because, no, it's good. It's the same, and Terras exist, and it's the same reason why Dragonite's being Terra normal. It lets it take, well, first off, E-Speed's obviously nasty, but it lets it take the Ice moves from Chien-Pao, at the same time, the Moonblast from Iron Valiant, and set up and beat it. So defensive Terra is for sure good counterplay, and it's not something that you can say, oh, well, that's shaky. No, it's set in
Yeah.
stone. It's good.
I think especially with the Terra Water Garg example, like you'll see games where Chien-Pao won't even come out the entire game, and Garg is just gonna win with Terra Water Curse.
Yep.
Like these things aren't just running it for Chien-Pao. Like they're good. Like there won't be a Chien-Pao on the field, and they'll still Terra. You'll see a not Tauros, Great Tusk Terra into a Fire type to beat Skeleturge. Like you'll see all these things happening regardless of Chien-Pao. Like it's not forcing these things
Yeah.
to run these obscure Terra types.
Exactly. Speaking of
for it.
Skeletors, bro. Speaking of Skeletors, like Skeletors obviously ran Terra Fairy because it allows it to deal with dark moves. Yes, but it's not just Chien-Pao it deals with, right? It allows it to also deal with King Gambit. It allows it also to eat Shadow Balls from both Dragapult and Golden Goat. Like, it allows it to take neutral from Greninja's Water move. Like, it's not specifically Roaring Moon's Crunch and Masquerade's Knockoff.
Yeah,
it's not specifically only for Chien-Pao. So I don't like the argument that defensive counterplay being forced to Terra is unhealthy, because it is not just one Pokemon that all these Pokemon are Terra. I can't think of one Pokemon that only Terras for Chien-Pao.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to add to that is the thing that people are scared of with Chien-Pao is its own Terra.
Yeah.
So it's like you could complain that Terra isn't like a reliable counter option, which I don't even agree with. But if you're doing it to counter something that's already Terra'd into a pure Dark type and it's just clicking Crunch, I really don't understand why that would be a problem. Like, that's what Gen 9 is about. Like, this thing has a Terra now, can you counter it with your own Terra? Like, stuff like that that's what makes this metagame fun, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
just being able to run all these different types. Like, a couple hours ago, one of my teammates in SPL ran Terra Fairy Rotom, and it just O-coded a Roaring Moon. Like, you could say, oh, it's to resist Crunch, but you know what I mean? Like, look how much
dark is in the tier. Look how much dark specifically.
Yeah.
Ice is different, right? Because the ice resistances, you also use it because you can Terra and resist a bunch of other stuff too. Like Steel can resist also Steel from Make It Rain. It can also resist Dragon from Life Form Guard. Exactly. So like, it's not like they're doing it specifically for this. Again, all this doesn't necessarily matter because Chien-Pao is banned. It is in Ubers. I'll be using it in Ubers. I have a sick thumbnail. We just want to lay why we thought it wasn't necessarily ban worthy. And yes, the choice ban Terra Crunch calcs are scary. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And obviously, its high speed tier allows, like, you can't deny it that they're scary, obviously. But I think you also need to understand that 53% of teams have Great Tusk. All right, 53% of teams, probably more at this point, have Great Tusk. Right, that is a dark resist, right? And then, go on. Sorry.
I was about to say, I think it's more in week 4, like as of right now, but I'm not too sure on that.
I mean, just in OU in general, the usage stat was 53% for Great Tusk.
OU, it feels like every game is a Great Tusk on ladder. Like, you can run balance with Great Tusk, HO with Great Tusk.
I'm going to put on a random account just to show you guys how crazy the ladder is. This is a random account. I'm going to find a random OU game right now, and if we can run into a Great Tusk, like, well, let's see what happens, because the lower, and this is just the proof point, right? 50%. This is a coin flip, obviously, right? There doesn't have to be a Great Tusk here, and it might not be, but I do guarantee that my opponent's team will be real. Like, that's a real team. That's the first team on the ladder, and that is a real team right there. Like, that is, you could argue that is a real team. Like, maybe it needs a little bit of work, but you can argue that's a real team. So, like, you know, the 50-50, right? We don't get it in the first one, but at least you see that it's a real team here. But anyway, I've lost points on my Gadashi that account. But, what I'm saying is that Great Tusk is on a bunch of teams. That's a dark resist, right? Obviously, Great Tusk can't take ice moves. Well, actually, if it's Fizz Def, it can. And it can OHKO back with Body Press.
Exactly. Not a lot of the games, but 2 of the games that I can remember off the top of my head in SPL, a Chien-Pao did a lot more than it should have because of an Icicle Crash flinch. And it's like, you could, I think it was in week 3. But,
week 3 will be right here.
Yeah, so you could say that, oh, Icicle Crash is hacks, but yeah, it was right there. Icicle Crash is like, just hacks, is stupid, you're flinching everything with it.
Just somebody putting calcs, excuse me. That was just somebody leaving calcs.
Oh, I think I left it in my post somewhere, but I was just talking about, like, it's hacks. It's not Chien-Pao being broken if it gets a flinch on a Tusk that would have killed it anyways. You know what I mean?
I don't even think Crash is good personally. I think that when you have a Pokemon with 120 base attack, right? Effectively, what is that? 177?
170, something
like that.
Yeah.
Because of Sword of Ruin. Why would you want to miss an attack, personally? That's what I think. If you're banded, I spin or 2 KOs everything. There's no point in missing an attack. But that's my personal opinion there. But yeah, the reason Great Tusk is on this, and what I was trying to say is a dark resist, is because most teams right now have Great Tusk. And I mean, you made a good point. Maybe it was in, I think it was in this one, about the fire, about the ground steel core. That basically on every single team. Yeah. Typically, Tusk plus Water plus Steel has been enough when it comes to dealing with Chien-Pao. Exactly. So a lot of teams will have Great Tusk, right? And then you have your Water. It can be Rotom, it can be Dozo, it can be Pex. And Pex is actually rising in usage, running Baneful Bunker because it can allow it to not only punish this thing's crunch, but also U-turns and things like that. So you got your water, you got that, and then you got your steel. And your steel will be maybe Golden Go or a little bit more solid, King Gambit, Scizor. So this is a very, this is not a core that is being ran because of Chien-Pao. This is a core that just works well together because of all the things they resist for each other, right?
Exactly.
So,
and it just,
go ahead.
I was about to say, it just, you can say that, oh, Chien-Pao is going to kill all these things if it gets to play right with Crunch.
For sure.
But in a game, first of all, everybody's getting their hazards up. It's gotten a lot harder to take off hazards this gen without Tusk itself. Corviknight is not getting the defog off versus a Golden Go ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's become such an unreliable hazard control. That rocks are up a lot more now. And Chien-Pao coming in taking 25% every time, it's not getting that many chances to be able to just click Crunch. And you can see with this core, we have 2 Crunch resists.
Yeah.
And if we had a Toxapex, we could always just pivot into our Toxapex.
Once Baneful Bunker and threaten it back. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. There's so many ghost types that are good in this team. We have Skeledirge,
Shoot, dude, you could even, most King Gambit, if they're not running Lum or whatever the black glasses or whatever, leftovers is enough with the obscure HP, the obscure EVs it ends up running, right? Like if I'm being real, this is semi-standard, right? They just run some random EV spread.
It's definitely random, yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely random. The outs be like only speed tier is the only one that matters, and it takes the crunch and then threatens it out type of thing, right? So and obviously if it's boots, you can Terra defensively and do that, and Chien-Pao can't really do much. There is Chien-Pao, Chien-Pao does Terra to counterplay stuff. The only one I can think of that's never running Dark or Ice, which I think you should be running 10,000% of the time. Oh, I think Dark should almost always be ran, and Ice can be the exception. But the one actual exception that you might see on Swords Dance is Terra Ghost as a means to avoid Sacred Sword from opposing Chien-Pao, but also, more importantly, to take the extreme speed from Dragonite at +1 and then knock it out with Sacred Sword. So, that's basically it, but it damn near always runs Dark, right?
Yeah, it's from, Breloom, Mach Punch 2,
Sash, exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're not arguing that Chien-Pao isn't strong. It is. It is. It's strong on calcs. It's strong in play. But I don't think it was overly broken in play. Yeah, you see right here. It's dropped from 70% to 60% to 55%. And we don't even have week 4 that's done yet. I'm sure, I don't know where it is now. And obviously we won't see it in week 5. But it wasn't as, it's not Chi-Yu. Is that a good way to say it?
Yeah, it's not decimating these games that like the way Chi-Yu was with just clicking Dark Pulse Overheat.
Yeah.
Oh, one important thing, Crunch and Ice Spinner is not Overheat.
Yep, at all.
Chien-Pao is also weaker. We have to really think about this. The difference between Crunch and Overheat, just relative to their just the special attack and attack, is basically another choice item. It's 1.5 times. That's a big difference.
Yep.
A big problem with Chi-Yu is that, look, let's say teams ran Clodsire for it. You get 2-shot by Overheat because it ignores the unaware. It's really just a lot different to deal with. Even though you could say, oh, Chi-Yu is also weak to rocks. It's just a lot different because of the way, just how much stronger Chi-Yu was in Chien-Pao. There's just a lot. It's just a bad comparison that's also been going on in the thread.
Yeah. They're not the same at all. They're not the same at all. Chi-Yu, you had to be Terra Water, Assault Vest, Great Tusk, max HP, max special defense if you wanted to live in Overheat, right? Type of thing. Whereas versus Chien-Pao, I could just be my same type in Terra Fire, which is very solid, Terra Water, which is still solid enough, Terra Steel, which is solid too. All the Terras that this guy ends up running is all the same. So it's not the same nuke that the other one was.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Obviously the speed tier makes a big difference too when it comes to this Pokemon, but you see a ban and take Stealth Rock, or you see Life Orb, but you can pivot around. I don't think it forces necessarily, nobody's running Tauros on every single team. If they were, Tauros would be OU anyway, right? If they were, it would have been OU by usage. So
exactly. We saw Toad in OU in Gen 8 with Dracovish. We saw Seismitoad in OU. That's something that when you look at it, you're like, yo, why am I using Seismitoad on every team? This thing needs to go. But with Chien-Paos, we're not forcing Tauros on every team.
Yeah, if anything, the mons that technically quote-unquote lose to its stab are still above it in usage, right?
Yeah, exactly. And one interesting thing, week 1, we saw it had the highest Chien-Pao win percentage, at 70%. that week had the most Tauros usage out of any tier. So it's not that teams are just throwing Tauros on every team and now they're somehow managing to deal with it. We're just like finding ways to play around the Terra ban, just clicking crunch. We pivot into our Great Tusk. Like, it resists Dark. We can't just keep clicking crunch every turn versus it.
Yeah. No, definitely just some Chien-Pao. I do think that some games as well in that, like you have some really weird games as well where like the opponent will just throw away a Great Tusk at full when the opponent has a King Gambit and just let it die to Ice Spinner when they do have pivots like Pex and stuff. There were a few weird games that we saw on stream, but
yeah.
Obviously, it's hard to say when you're playing the game versus spectating. Like there's a big difference, the pressure and everything as well. But I do think that I personally wouldn't have banned Chien-Pao. I'm going to use it in Ubers. I do think it's going to come back with Pokemon Home. And speaking of Pokemon Home, we're going to kind of take a look at what Chien-Pao might be like when Pokemon Home comes out. This does contain spoilers, but no new Pokemon spoilers, obviously. We don't know any new Pokemon spoilers, right? But this contains some spoilers of Pokemon that will be coming back. If you do consider Pokemon that already existed and that are coming back spoilers, skip through this part because after that I'll have a timestamp down below. I'm not going to have a timestamp for this. We're just going to talk about Chien-Pao. But I'll have a timestamp down below that skips to Espathra. So you can skip to that and not see any of this. So I have a tier list maker that I'll be making a tier list from it. This shows all the mons coming back besides the Hisuian Pokemon. And how do you think the meta is going to be different? Like obviously the big one that stands out is Magearna, right?
Yeah.
The ice and dark resists. The mon that will probably take nothing from Sacred Sword. And obviously you have Urshifu Water as well.
Yeah.
Anything else that comes to mind or what do you think?
I just think it's those two mainly. Like I seen people talk about Diancie is gonna like nobody's gonna use regular Diancie. It's not even worth talking about. And Fizdef Heatran is another interesting thing with Flame Body.
Yes.
Chien-Pao is good. If you have a choice ban Chien-Pao versus a team with a Heatran and Great Tusk and Urshifu Water,
you never get to click.
It's never doing anything. Like especially with rocks up, it tries to ice spin and you go into Heatran and burn and now it's dead. You know what I mean? Like definitely gonna be a lot harder to just like with that ban set especially. It's gonna be a lot harder to just freely click crunch, which it already has a hard time doing in these high level games. It's already not doing that. So once these three guys come back, we're really gonna see like okay, choice ban isn't this scary crunch monster that we thought it was.
I mean, dude, Zamazenta as well, right? Not the one that can run items, but the one that can't, that only gets a defense boost once, type of thing. Who knows, man? That might be another mon that stays. That's a straight up shutdown. Now, most likely not, but I'm just trying to like there's definitely options there when it's gonna come to it. So I mean, I'm pretty sure Chien-Pao is gonna be unbanned. A lot of Pokemon are gonna be end up being unbanned. I'm glad Genesect is not on this list because Genesect would be banned anyway. I don't have the heart to take that again. But
they've quick banned that for sure.
Yeah, for once, yeah. But yeah, that's like definitely one. And obviously, you also have the Hisuian Pokemon as well that will be really, really strong than Chien-Pao. I actually think Chien-Pao is going to be very good versus the top three Hisuians, which would be, I think, Basket Legion, Sneasler, and Ursaluna. So Chien-Pao matches up really, really well versus those. But in general, and we're gonna have. I think the difference is that you have Cleavor setting up Stealth Rock while attacking, right? You have Hisuian Samurott setting up Spikes while attacking. So the metagame is going to be completely different as well. And the hazards are actually going to be even more difficult to deal with, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah, because they're going to be more difficult to deal with because while Corviknight is a good Pokemon, don't get us wrong, guys. He did say it's not a good defogger because it's true. At the moment, it's not a good defogger because Golden blocks. But it is still a good Pokemon. Even with 8 PP Roost, it just tanks every hit. So U-turns, does whatever it wants, sub-bulk up, etc. But these hazards are going to go up and they're going to be insane. It's actually going to be insane. So it'll be a little while to see how that metagame. Why is Charizard? I guess Charizard regular does come back, and the Charizard that we get is just from what's it called? From the event. So regular Charizard does come back.
The raid, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, in general, I do think that I feel like the Chien-Pao was just a little bit blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I really think that a lot of it was just the calcs, like the super crunch calcs. If we really took a look at his best set, which in my opinion is either Life Orb or Heavy Duty Boots with Swords Dance or just 4 attacks, I really don't think people would look at that and say, this is too much to deal with, I don't have enough switch-ins, I can't do this. Like, it's just this, it's the idea of these scary crunch calcs that never actually materialize in these games, and then the idea that it could just SD here too, which I get, like, okay, I kind of get it, but if you see it SD, your counterplay is gonna be different to it. A lot of these guys have different counterplays to what they see. And if you set rocks and you don't see it take rocks, you know what a set is already.
Yeah, it's
like
boots.
you know it's not gonna, yeah, you know it's not gonna 2 KO your Dondozo or whatever you have. Like,
Dude, if I see it take no rocks, I'm going hard great toss. Like, I
exactly.
don't care. I'll take. I literally take. If I'm max defense, I take less than half from my spinner. Like, I literally
Yeah,
take less than
that's
half.
crazy.
Like that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying I was watching this other game. It was my teammate playing too. He had his Chien-Pao at +2 and a Corvin that came in at 67. And I was like, oh, this game's over. He just kills it here.
It's a roll. It's a very it's a roll that's not necessarily in their favor either.
Interrupted, but
yeah,
you're
good.
I was just saying, I thought, oh, this surely kills at 67, but you look at it, it's a roll. It didn't even kill. He has to switch out, get it back in later on. Like, even +2 Chien-Pao is not the nuke that these guys think it is, especially with boots.
Yeah, at all. It's not. Like, again, like as we mentioned before, it's not Chi-Yu where it comes in and clicks and gets a kill. It's just not. It's just really not. And I feel like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to miss this Pokemon a lot in OU. One last thing I want to touch on. What do you think gets better and what do you think can rise up from this?
Oh,
go ahead.
I think Dragapult gets better. I think a lot more Modest is going to be being run now.
Agreed.
I think Greninja's going to get better. Just because people are going to miss the speed that Chien-Pao has with like just spamming dark moves. But I think like Gren's not going to really do that as good. But I think it's definitely going to see more usage.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is Golden is going to get a lot more annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
And well, I'm not too sure about this. I didn't really think about this too much, but I think Terrafly and King Gam is going to get a lot harder too because my main way of just revenge killing that was, okay, you Terrafly, now I just go Chien-Pao and just ice spinner you.
Yeah, or crash, or start if it gets low. I want to note that, like, from specifically the U's here, Pokemon that have a little bit more viability now, or that seem a little bit more interesting. The big one to me was like Sandy Shocks. Because Sandy Shocks is already a really good balance breaker in itself, just because of Earth Power Thunderbolt, and not having to worry about being outsped by that is really cool. I agree completely that Modest Dragapult would be ran. If you actually look at the OU tier, it outspeeds everything with Modest. So literally everything with Modest. So I like that. I think it'll be interesting to see how Skelly and them still Terra. I'm pretty sure we'll still see Fairy, but we might end up still seeing Normal as well, just for the make it rain mons and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know, because it's interesting because Garg obviously gets a lot better, right? And Garg was already really good, and that wasn't even that was a check at best. Like Dragonite gets better because at +1 it actually doesn't kill Chien-Pao if it's at full, and Chien-Pao can deal with it via Sacred. But I do think while the defensive mon get better too, like you said, the offensive mons like Gren is really, really nice. Like I'm actually really excited to see Gren, because I think Greninja's a good Pokemon. I think Gren's a really good Pokemon, especially with
that speed tier is going to be a lot more important now with Chien-Pao gone.
You know what else is really annoying? And I was like thinking about this. Like, you know, the only two ways I ever knocked out Hatterene was literally King Gambit or Chien-Pao. Literally the only ways I ever knocked out, because Hatterene just Terra Waters and lives everything, right? But who cares when it's at 90% when I Terra Dark Adamant Crunch? So like, I think Hat gets really, really, really frustrating, and that could be a wrong call, but in theory, it gets super, super strong in my opinion, and that's a nasty.
I think defensively, Clodsire is going to be a lot more annoying too. Because I feel like just being able to click Crunch to just pressure it out, or like scare it out with the Ice Spinner, and you can make a play off that. Just losing out on this like really good balance break. I don't think balance and stall is going to become this broken. Like
no, not at all.
Can't deal with this.
I just think they definitely lost the way of beating a lot of their mons.
Yeah. I think like Claudozo, like that core, you could just before you could just crunch through that, but now I think it gets a bit more annoying to do.
I want to note, besides Chien-Pao, Greninja's basically the only mon that runs ice moves in OU, right? Unless you're like a random Pelipper, like the only, like if you go through the entire list, it's basically the only mon.
Ice Spinner, Tusk, and
that's rare. That's very rare, unless you're like Scarf or Band or type of thing. So that makes me like a Swords Dance Garchomp might actually come back as a Pokemon.
Yeah, Swords Dance Garchomp has been really putting in work too with not even just Swords Dance, even Life Orb, Chain Chomp.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to Terra turn 1 to
kill
beat
Chien-Pao.
Chien-Pao.
Yeah. So I think offensive chomp just looks really, really strong. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So guys, let us know your thoughts down below on that. Now, this came right after, and we had a quick ban from Espathra. Now I know 99% of you guys are gonna be happy about Espathra being banned. Me, I'm very sad. Yes, Espathra was a nasty Pokemon, but I had fun with it, and I'm all about having fun over anything else. And I think that fun should be
crazy.
Dude, I think fun should be about everything. But basically, they held a suspect test. They had the surveys, the overwhelming amount of people. I didn't even bother filling out the second survey or third survey just because I didn't. It looked the same exact one as the second, as the first. I was like, okay, I'm good.
I didn't do any of them, to be honest.
Yeah. But basically, the OU Council, this group of people who play in tournaments or just like do a lot. Like you have a lot of tournament people here, like Tala, TVP, Star, Ox, Ima occasionally, Finch obviously, and then you have the occasional right here. But yeah, so they voted ban on Espathra, and the big thing about Espathra is that speed boost. It's very fast, so it's very hard to revenge kill. Calm Mind and Stored Power. Stored Power allowed it to be basically unaware Pokemon, even if they ignore boost, if you didn't go hard into the unaware Pokemon. And it also forced certain defensive Terras, which I mentioned before, I don't think are bad. But the best set, in my opinion, was Terra Fire, in my personal opinion.
I agree.
Because it allowed it to not only snipe King Gambit, but also Golden Go in one, while also resisting the Dark move and the Make It Rain. So I thought it was really good with Calm Mind. But also, you resist Torch Song from Skeletor, and the more you boost, right? Obviously, Unaware ignores the boost, but it doesn't ignore the base power. So once you get to 200 base power on a Espathra, you 2-hit KO easily Skeletor. So
easily.
Yeah, they talked about it right here, and they talked about how it gets crazy and it's allowed setup, and they said right here, like, it's exasperated by Espathra's usual partner in crime, Earthworm, which can provide it with a free substitute with the use of Shed Tail. Very interesting, I think, and this is something I want to point out a lot more later, but Shed Tail is the reason why Espathra is usually as crazy as it is. And yeah, people were like, oh, Cyclozar's gone, Shed Tail's not going to be a problem. Well, yeah, maybe you can't Shed Tail 3 or 4 times in a game, but Earthworm, Shed Tail, and we've seen so many Espathra sweep in SPL specifically because of Earthworm into Espathra. And I will note that there are a ton of checks, in my opinion, besides just your regular Dark type, right? If they Terra Fairy, as long as you pay your King Gambit right, you're fine. If your Golden Go has to be healthy, but you got to be careful about that. But there's also obviously Tinglu that can Whirlwind it out, and these are all Pokemon that are on a bunch of teams, right? But then the Unaware Mons can run Terra Dark. Yeah. King Skeletors and Clodsire will always beat it as long as they run Terra Dark. It doesn't matter if it's Terra Fights, doesn't matter if it's Terra Fairy, they'll always beat it.
I actually have a replay. It was my OST round 1 game. It was game 1. It was versus the same Earthworm Espathra, just whole setup thing. I let them set up with their Espathra. I just went into Skeledirge, Terra Dark to beat their Terra Fire, and I just dealt with it like that.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't want to make it seem like I was anti-Espathra Ban. I'm definitely happy that it's gone, but I feel like it was definitely possible to deal with a lot of the Terra types in one.
It was just annoying. It was just annoying.
Yeah, it was definitely annoying. I'm glad it's gone, but I feel like what you were saying about a lot of his checks being on teams like King Gambit, Golden Go, Scizor, that type of stuff, that's true. But I just think the ability just to turn into so many different types is just too much of a headache to build around.
The thing is, you can't revenge kill it via speed. It has to be defensive counterplay. So that's just what makes it. Harder to deal with. And their thing right here is that Terra Dark, Clodsire, Skeletors, and Toxapex go from resisting Iron Balance, Moonblast to being weak to it. Taking all this into account, we felt that spot is too restricting repentance. I think that's fair. But I also think that, this was my last game of Rex, right? This game right here was versus Espathra, right? Dual screens. And I'm going to, basically, my Clodsire was Terra Dark. And with my Clodsire, I was still able to beat the Excalibur. I was able to beat the Volk, obviously, regardless of my Terra type. I'm going to go to turn, I'm going to say 30. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm Terra Dark at this point with Jean Claude. Fantastic name. And it allowed me at a point to beat Volcarona. It allowed me to, because it's Clodsire, right? I'm unaware. I'm just standard .spadef. And right here, I was able to Toxic this thing, and then you'll see, right? I Great Tusk here. The Asco Spear, obviously, good play. They're loaded dice, so obviously I'm going to get messed up here no matter what. I was using Slitherwing, and I'm using defensive Slitherwing, which was I think is really really underrated. I don't know.
Really underrated,
yeah, it's super good. It's super good. But I was using defensive here, and then as you can see, you know, obviously at full I'm gonna live the Glaive Rush that does 10 million%, right? And I just recover it off, and they died of poison. And then you can see right there they had sub, so they were able to avoid it because Earthquake is a roll that's like 22 to 26. So for the most part they beat me, but at the end of it, I mean, they obviously can't boost. I just end up earthquaking and I win the 1v1, right? Because that is what, and that's how I got Rex with this. Like, this was I won like 9 games in a row with this team after using Champion Gita's team. And yeah, I basically fought all of Espathra Shedtail the entire time. And obviously, because it was using the ladder, you know, I used that. But also, that Clodsire still also beats Dragonite, right? It still beats Dragonite that doesn't Terra because Earthquake only does 49 or 46 to, like, it does less than half. So you toxic and recover. You know, it still helps you beat Golden Go. It still helps you beat a ton of Pokemon in the tier. So I think I do think while Iron Valley, obviously you don't resist his Moonblast, it's not like you're gonna die to it, and you can still pivot around when it comes to it. Like, Clodsire is always gonna be on a team with a Steel type. Period.
It's there. It's gonna be there. But I think just like I think with Chien-Pao compared to this, the difference that they forced, like, in terms of Terra type is really, like, you could see it too. Chien-Pao, we see Tusk turning into fire types. We see Garchomp turning into fire types. Like, we just see a lot of different things turning into different types to beat the Terra Dark Chien. But with this, it feels like a lot of the times I'm way too weak to it. I need to slap an Underwear Mon with Terra Dark, and it's just like, it just gets really annoying when you have to, when you feel like...
I don't disagree. I mean, obviously with Light Screen, Reflect, Shed Tail, that is what made it broken. But is that Espathra? I mean, obviously, Espathra is annoying, and it boosting it makes it really, really hard. But I do believe in, like, again, he wants Espathra gone. I didn't, just because I love using it, and I think it's a fun mon. But I do agree that it was it was I don't want to say restricting. Using Terra Dark on my Clodsire, it helps me out versus a plethora of mons, right? But
I don't think it's restricting. I don't like using the word restricting because I think a lot of that is just like cap. Like, look at the teams, like, it's gonna be there regardless. But I just think, like, it forces teams to be, not teams, but I think it just forces a lot of random shit. Like, just that Terra Dark especially. You aren't necessarily restricted to using it, but you can play around it, obviously, with just good plays. Like, you could just switch straight into the Underwear Mon to make sure its sword power isn't too high.
Which just not to cut you off, but I want to note that multiple of Espathra's wins in SPL were because the opponent misplayed completely. They never went hard into the Skeleturge. They literally never went hard. They let it set up 2 times before they would go out to the Mon in multiple replays. But
that's why I don't want to use the word restricting, because you have a lot of other options. But I just feel like the way it's played, it just, like, promotes this, like, just this bad, like, play style of, okay, now it's Shed Tail, Calm Mind, and win. And I think that's definitely, you were talking about, is that Shed Tail? I definitely think Shed Tail's a big part of that. And even ABR was saying the same thing, that is it really Espathra or is it Shed Tail? Like, we haven't seen an Espathra win in SPL without Shed Tail. So
because once you get that, because once you get that initial sub on something, like, Espathra gets the free Calm Mind, which is what gets it going, right? And then you'll see every Espathra that runs sub, and you'll see the guard, when they have unaware Pokemon, stay in and click Salt Cure on it always, right? So, like, I definitely think that it requires you to play better, right? Or not bad. It requires you not to play bad, which is fine. Like, Pokemon's a game of skill, but I mean, it's for sure. And guys, I understand, healthier for the metagame, whatever. I want fun in the metagame. That's what I want personally. That's what I'm pro fun, but I've always been pro fun when it comes to Pokemon. I think the community should be enjoying the metagame. Sure. Right? Nobody wants Sword and Shield. When Zeraora came out and Clefable and the 10,000 turn games, that was every single game on the damn ladder, right? Nobody wants any of that. Now, this is gonna be interesting. I just think it means that, like, the Mons won't be running Terra Dark. Personally, I think that a lot of fat actually does get better. This specifically, this Mon being gone, I think makes a lot of fat better, like more than Chien-Pao. Yeah, because this thing with sub Calm Mind just sets up on every beat of fat and beats them no matter what, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It beats offense too. So.
And with that thing they said about Iron Valley being able to Moonblast all these guys, that's completely right too. Like, you see a Toxapex turning to a Dark type or a Steel type, now it's weak to these moves. So even though Espathra didn't win, it's putting these fat teams in such bad positions to where it's gonna be really hard to break past any type of just wall like the rest of their team. And Espathra wouldn't even have used its Terra at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Apex comes in behind to a +2 Espathra behind a sub, didn't do anything, just calm mind. Now it has to Terra Dark. Now the offensive side has a lot more it could do knowing that this Pex just Terra Dark.
Oh, definitely. Though I will note that Clodsire, Skeletor, and Toxapex don't go anywhere without Corviknight. Literally.
Oh yeah.
All
for sure.
three of those go nowhere without Corviknight.
Yeah.
Corviknight Clod, Corviknight Skelly, Corviknight Toxapex, it's literally bread and butter. Like, they should always be on the same team. So the no fair resist is whatever, personally.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
yeah, it's not like Skeletor just hates Terra Dark, dude. Like, what, resisting King Gambit, resisting Golden Go Shadow Ball, like resisting Shadow Ball from Pole. It's not like it's terrible. Greninjas.
Yeah, I was playing a game. I was playing a game earlier, and my opponent didn't even have a Espathra, and I still Terra Dark my Skeletor to wall the Hydreigon.
Yeah, I Terra Dark Gene Claude so many games without Espathra too. It was just good, like, because being unaware and then getting rid of my ground weakness, and Dark specifically meant my opponent had a Mon that was going for, what was it, like Psychic or something crap on me. It was I fought Volcaronas that had Psychic, dude. I fought a lot of
Same.
they started running. They're starting to run Psychic more now. It let me beat Hatterene too. Or at least only make it force it to click. What's it called? The Draining Kiss, which again it gets a lot of recovery back, but it was just good. Like, it was just good in general.
I really want to see how good Hatterene's gonna be after Chien-Pao's gone.
I told you, it is the one that KOs it. It's literally the only mon that KOs it besides King Gambit.
Like, I'm just thinking about, okay, how did I really deal with Hatterene? And I'm just thinking about all the times I had to Terra Dark to kill it. I'm like, yo.
From 80%, you always Terra Dark and you killed it.
Yeah, this thing might be a problem. I'm actually kind of excited to see where this meta goes, because we have a couple months till Pokemon Home comes out.
I think Iron Valley might be broken, dude.
I think so too. I think in the case of Shedtail, if we start seeing people start talking about we need to ban Iron Valiant because it's so broken on these HOs when it just comes up with the Shedtail
and booster energies and Terras, yeah. Then it's definitely Shedtail. It's 100% Shedtail.
Yeah.
Dude, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really like the idea of their suspects now, or just quick banning it now before Pokemon Home, because when everything comes back, we could really see, like, okay, now that we saw Iron Valiant was broken with Shedtail, like, I'm not saying it is, but let's say people start saying that, then we revisit the whole idea of suspecting like Espathra. Now we just ban Shedtail, and we have a metagame without Shedtail and with Espathra.
With Cyclizar and Earthworm back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, in these lower tiers, I bet Cyclizar is probably going to be used. I don't know. Something to be interesting.
Yeah, I just like, I don't know. I do think that the this ban specifically is gonna make everything better, like literally everything. Which I guess is a sign that this is a nasty Pokemon.
Now you're seeing it.
But at the same time, bro, in play, like, I feel like the last time I lost to Espathra was when I was using a joke team that had no way of dealing with it in prep. Period. Right? Like,
same.
When I have serious teams, like, that have Terra Dark Golden Gold, Terra Dark Claude, or even just special defensive King Gambit plus friends, like, I don't think I've lost it. But when I've used fun teams with friends on videos and ladder, that's the only time where I feel like I've lost it. But at the same time, I've also used this crappy Champion Gita team in every game I won because of Terra Fire Espathra, which is, in my opinion, the literal best set. But I also think that Go-Go gets better too with Espathra being gone. And I think that this Terra Fire bulk set that Storm's on me. No, this set's good. This set is good. I will battle you right now and tell me how you'll beat it. Tell me right now how you beat this thing.
I'm going into my...
No more Chien-Pao.
Oh shit, there's no Chien. It's over with.
Dude, it literally eats hits, right? When they go out to Road to Will-O-Wisp, you Terra Fire and Horn Leech them. When they go Golden Go, you Terra Blast Fire them. It takes nothing, dude. It takes nothing.
I'm surprised this thing gets Mud Drink. That's actually pretty nice, I can't lie.
Yeah.
Storm's always on some weird shit, bro. What am I looking at right now?
Well, he was the one who inspired this, but he gave me Earthquake on it. But I think Terra Blast Fire is better.
Yo, Terra Blast Fire is not... Wait, was it Terra Fire Earthquake?
No, it was Horn Leech Earthquake.
Oh.
But Terra Fire, like, I missed out on a few things, but Terra Fire lets me hit Corviknight plus Golden Go. But
yeah, and Silver.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we'll keep it at that. I think it was also interesting that you saw like Brute Bonnet having a place on Sun and Roy Moon. Obviously, there were two natural checks to that Pokemon easily, right? Like the Terra Fire set could not beat Roaring Moon unless it was toxic, and then it would have to sub and wear it down, which I've had to do in practice. And Brute Bonnet doesn't die to anything and threatens it back with Bullet Seed or whatever. So like there was, and again, Roaring Moon's case obviously is the more popular one, but Brute Bonnet's just, we saw what it did in SPL as well.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was watching that game live. That was crazy.
It was beautiful, but yeah, I mean, all in all, yes, I understand Espathra should have been banned, period. But do I want it to be banned? No. Chien-Pao, I don't think it should have been banned. But guys, what do you think? Like, let us know your thoughts down below. You might call us crazy or not, which is fine. We're all allowed to have our different opinions on things. But any closing words, 3D?
I just want to say that in future suspects, I really think that, like, moving forward, we should just really be looking at what things do in these high-level games and just try to learn from them instead of just looking at it in more of like a theory way of, oh, it can do this
Calc, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, just take a look at what it actually does. Like Espathra, we actually saw it sweeping these teams with Shed Tail, but we didn't see any choice ban. Chien-Pao was just decimating teams, like especially after week 1.
Dude, I feel like posting damage calcs is the equivalent of, well, my low kicks can revenge kill it with first impression. Like, I really feel like those two statements are the exact same thing, whether you're a smart player or a new player. Like, I feel like those two statements are the exact same thing.
Yeah, like, I definitely get what you're saying. Like, this stuff doesn't it doesn't happen in these high-level games. Like, we could say that, oh, it happens on 1600s on the ladder, but at what point is it, like, building issues, like, the team issues, like, the way you're going about pivoting it wrong? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things to learn, especially from going over these SPL replays. Like, even I learned stuff just going over them, just seeing, oh, wow, this is how people are doing it. This is how they're playing around Choice Band. This is how they're playing around Heavy Boots, Life Orb, that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts down below. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which will probably be a short or something. So thank you, 3D, for being in the video. And that's it, guys. Peace.